And finally, number 10, Jesus Christ is with us forever. Marriage is the same. Well, you don't understand, brother. My wife left me. Why did she leave you? Some of these great preachers out there, I didn't through multiple marriages because my wife didn't quit, or I didn't quit the ministry, my wife did. Why did she quit the ministry? It's because you weren't a good husband.
Whoa, whoa. Now, whoa. I need to throw a bomb on that one, an explosion. Wait a minute. Now, you're going to blanketly state that any woman who divorces her husband and her husband was in ministry, the reason that she divorced him was because he was a bad husband. My friend, you are a dummy if you're going to make that blanket statement. You're a dummy, okay? That is not good. Now, not a friend, sorry. A man I really respect, Aaron Wrenn, who has the Aaron Wrenn show. He talks about one of his I think it was his pastor, or at least a pastor friend, but I think it was his pastor, that he had a wife and they had kids. I think they might have had 4 kids, if I remember right. But his husband was doing ministry and they didn't have a lot of money, so he would ride a scooter to get to work every day, probably to the church to do his work or whatever. And he got in a car accident on his scooter, riding it back and forth. And he was handicapped because of this scooter accident that he got in. Somebody hit him on his scooter. And his wife ended up divorcing him because she just didn't want to be married to a handicapped man. And I remember Aaron Wrenn said that he was just really shocked that like no one rebuked this man's wife, this pastor's wife, for divorcing him when the times got tough. And that is tough. Like I agree, that's tough. But that's why we take vows, for better or for worse. And this dummy here, born to been a barbarian, says, hey, that's your fault. Things got tough. Come on, man. Come on now. You're better than that.
I know the stories. I know the different guys out there, great preachers and whatever else. Oh, my wife left me. She got involved in feminism. What did you do to stop her? But you don't understand, Brian. She was rotten from the very beginning. Then why did you marry her? Huh? Mm-hmm. You don't want to be nice to you? I'm not going to be nice to you? You've gotten away from the thing of scriptural marriage, teaching on the thing of you get married once. The other scriptural grounds for divorce and all that other stuff, but you know what? It's because of the hardness of your heart that the Lord had to put that in there, not because it's a good thing. Hebrews chapter 13. We'll go there. Finish up there.
You get married once. Yeah, I agree. And we have something called no fault divorce, that you can get divorced for any reason because mama's not happy. So divorce happens. I know you live in a box in a trailer out in the woods with no electricity and no running water, supposedly. You do that, but come on, man.
We've gotten away from the thing of scriptural marriage, teaching on the thing of you get married once. The other scriptural grounds for divorce and all that other stuff, but you know what? It's because of the hardness of your heart that the Lord had to put that in there, not because it's a good thing. Hebrews chapter 13. We'll go there. Finish up there. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, or forsake thee, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Jesus is saying that to us, but you know what? A man should be able to say that to his wife. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. You know what you're doing when you waste your time?
Yeah. So again, yeah, a man should say that to his wife. I'll never leave you. And when a divorce happens, almost 80% of the time, it's the woman who is filing for divorce, right? So, born again barbarian, you need to get with the times on what is happening in the modern marriage. Now, I'm sure he would say from this whole video, I'm sure he would say, oh, well, it's because you're a little sissy. And then he'd point at the camera. You're a little sissy. That's why your wife divorced you, because you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. And nobody likes you.
With a bunch of stupid things, stupid pursuits and whatever, and hanging out with friends and go play video games while your wife is at home. You know what you're doing? You're leaving her and you're forsaking her. Well, she wants her time and I need my time and whatever else.
Wait a minute now. Hold on a second. I'm not saying go play video games or whatever, because I think video games are stupid. But a man should be able to go and hang with his brothers, once a week without calling that forsaking your wife. Come on, man. Come on, I sound like Joe Biden now. Come on, man. Dude, who is listening to this guy?
Why don't you spend your time serving the Lord as a Christian couple? You know, I saw it growing up. My father, he liked to play softball. Softball Hall of Fame in Lancaster County. He was a great ball player. Fast pitch softball. He could float in there and he could throw almost 100-mile-an-hour, fastball, really fast, in the high 90-mile-an-hour speed range. And I'm not joking. That's what he did. But there were a lot of times that they had arguments because my father had to get to the game. It's a tournament. He's going to be playing this game and whatever. And he's being paid by the bank that sponsors him. He's being paid by actually the Elks Lodge, I think, at one time, whatever. My father wasn't a Freemason, but he was paid by them at one time to play softball, fast pitch softball, on a local level and things. And there were a lot of times he was off playing some game somewhere, and my mom was at home trying to put all of us children to bed. 5 children. Where's my father at? Heard the stories of Peter Ruckman, marriages that he went through. Oh, well, early on there, we were living in a trailer, plywood trailer, and, the wife was there taking care of the 5 children, and I'm off, preaching and traveling and whatever. Don't put that kind of burden on your wife. And I have to constantly think about it. Right now, my wife and my son are here. They're on the property doing some fun things. And there's times I really want to get more videos done, and I want to contact people and write and whatever. And you know something? My wife needs me. I'm going to be doing more of that in the future. Taking some time off. I'm going to be taking some time off here coming up, within the next few days, doing things.
Yeah, I think you should take some time off, my friend. You're a little high strung there. I don't know how you're doing. How you charging up your phone to post these videos too? I just want like no electricity, no running water in your trailer in the woods. I just wondered about that. Like how do you get this going here? Maybe you got to ride a bicycle to power a generator or something in the woods. I don't know. I don't know how you do it, but it's pretty awesome. I don't know. I'm impressed with this. Now it is interesting too. We're talking about. He seems like a pretty old school guy. And if his dad had a part-time job, basically he's getting paid to play softball. You think, well, why doesn't she bring the kids to your softball games or something? Watch their dad play, cheer him on, something like that. Why are you guys at home? Why don't you go see your dad? My wife does that. When I like to race motorcycles, we all go together to the race. It's fun. My kids get to watch me race. It's a good time. Why wouldn't a wife do that? I don't know. You tell me, born again barbarian. We'll see.
But I want you to kind of change your way of thinking, all my Christian brothers out there. And instead of blaming your wife for things that obviously looked like it was her fault, trying to get the sermon done before the battery died. I could see it was starting to blink. Went dead on me. But just to finish up here, what I was saying.
I don't know how you charge that battery if you got no electricity out there in the woods. I'm still wondering. How you bring that thing back up? I don't. Anyway, all right.
There will be times when you will see your wife and she'll do some real big mistake and she'll admit to it and whatever else. And you know what? Be man enough to consider that maybe it was your fault. Then again, like I said earlier, it's not about self-pity. Oh, I'm just no good. I can't do anything good. That's not it. But just think to yourself, did I leave a spiritual door open when I watched that horrible thing? Did I have the wrong kind of music playing? Am I thinking the wrong kind of thoughts? Did I let my guard down? What's my part in this thing that went wrong? Consider it. Okay? It'll make you a better man. Every expert I've ever learned from, be they wood turner, logger, dirt bike, motocross type of guy, or whatever else, in terms of riding skills, because I've, was a motorcycle mechanic, trained to be a motorcycle mechanic, and I was raised, riding dirt bikes and things. And
now, hold on a second. Now, listen, I don't know if you can see my picture behind me. So, I was a pro motorcycle hill climb racer. I still race at the amateur level and have a good time doing it. And when I look at this guy does not look like a dirt bike rider to me. Like I'd like to see him get on a bike and race, or at least ride. This guy, he looks like he's probably at least 300 pounds, depending on his height. If he's above 6 foot, as big as this dude is, I don't know a lot of guys that big that are riding dirt bikes. I mean, you can't even hardly set up a bike for somebody that big. Might be a little hyperbole going on here. I don't know. All right, let's go on.
Every guy I ever learned from, they were very self-critical, extremely self-critical. And they would look and say, okay, I didn't do that right, and whatever, and they would refine their techniques. Wood turner, and he'd be turning, and he'd turn the gouge a certain way, rip the big chunk out of the wood. Okay, don't go too far this way, but if there's a good spot you turn, and you're turning the wood, and you're turning in there like this, and you come in this way, and you're turning this way, you're refining continually. Logger, you're out here, you're felling a tree, and say, okay.
Now, is this guy, I'm just looking at this guy again, not to be too rough on him, but he's talking about being self-critical and the guys that I know that are self-critical, that are about self-improvement, doing better, getting better, all this kind of thing. Like, hey, I don't even watch YouTube videos online because I'm so on my purpose and so on my mission. The guys that I know that are like that, and there's not many of them, but the guys that I know that are like that, they certainly don't look like this guy. And they don't talk like this guy either. They really, they really don't. And they don't. Here's another thing. They don't live in a box out in the woods with no running water or electricity. They just they don't do that either.
Now this tree I felled probably 100 of these trees. Like this one here, that one's a leaner right there. Well, it's small enough, I shouldn't have a problem. But if I have to try to get it to fell over that way, there's ways I can do it, but there's not enough tree there to put wedges in to make it to swing it. I'd have to rig it up high and try to pull it that way. You learn things, you refine. See, and that's what a marriage should be. A marriage should improve over time and get better over time, and not get worse. And if it's getting worse, it's your fault, husband. Every single time, you could have done something differently. Oh, but Brother Brian, like I said again earlier, oh, but Brother Brian, you don't understand this woman.
If your marriage is getting worse, it's your fault, because you just have so much authority. You have so much real authority over your wife that whatever happens, it's your fault, my friend. It's your fault. Really. Now, marriage is a picture of Christ and the church. And so I really like using this analogy because scripturally, marriage is a picture of Christ and the church. And so if we use that same analogy that it's always the husband's fault no matter what happens in the marriage. So that would mean that whatever the church does with that same analogy, whatever the church does, no matter how apostate the church gets, well, it's Christ's fault. Christ did something wrong because the church is doing wrong. No, that's not right. No, the church can be in sin and unrepentant sin, people there in the church that make up the church, and that can cause the church to go awry, to go apostate, and Christ will discipline and bring his church back, right? But it's not because Christ did something wrong. Hello. It's because there are sinful people as well in the church, all right? That's a good analogy to bring up. Say, listen, it's just wrong thinking, wrong doctrine, wrong theology.
Woman, she's just terrible. You married her. You better think about that. Okay? You young single guys out there, I think it's a great thing to get married. You can be an Apostle Paul or whatever else, but you know what? If you're messing around with lust and looking at pornography and things, I mean, if you have some kind of ministry that you're just completely sold out and doing the ministry, go for it. But if you have any kind of a problem with discipline and whatever else, it's not just about the thing of if you're burning, you should marry. With lust, in other words, there's also the thing of you need to grow up. You need to have some real responsibilities, and marriage will help you with that. Okay, so single guy for 36 years, I understand. Believe me. So that is going to be it for this study.
36 years. So born again Barbarian did not get married until he was 36 or 30, maybe 37. Then can you believe that? Boy. The way this guy talks, yeah, I can believe that. I certainly can believe that. Yeah.
I do hope it's been a challenge to you, to all the married brethren out there, and to the single guys and everything.
Now, I'm being a little hard on this guy because I watched this, or I listened to this video, and I just thought, this guy, he just really rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, he really grated on me. I was like, what poor young men are listening to this nonsense this guy is talking about? Like, I mean, this was 80% nonsense. I'll give him 20%. 20% was all right. 80% just complete nonsense. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. I thought, man, any poor guy that's listening to this and thinks this guy really knows what he's talking about, I feel bad for him. I mean, we got to get this nonsense just corrected. And I'm glad we are getting it corrected. I'm glad. I mean, this guy's got 75,000 subscribers. I'm not sure how, but he does. But man, listen to this kind of stuff. Hopefully his other videos are better than this, because this is awful. Man, we got to get it turned around. And we are getting it turned around because Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is PostMilMan.